Waltz with the Merman. I'm free of you all now. Only he can reach me. There was no more air left in her courageous lungs. In came the watery blackness, the angry gurgles of her doom, the razor-sharp loneliness of a pointless death. Her eyelids struggled no longer to stay open under the pressure of death's icy fingertips. And then there was the overwhelm, the nautical nothing. The final silence was beginning. She remembers her father telling her, "You see, it is a vast and beautiful place, the ocean." That was the first thing she learned of it. Then she grew older and discovered that there are some worlds and truths not meant for us to find. They say the ocean is made of 7 seas, depending on who you ask 7, but there is actually an 8th sea, and unlike the others, the 8th one doesn't stay put, for she is the Dark Sea, the Sea of Death. Any one of the 7, be it the Arctic, the Atlantics, North and South, the Pacific, South and North, the Indian and Mediterranean Oceans, may become death to one or many in the blink of an eye, continued the old man just before he again puffed his pipe. Always moving through the world like a dormant storm is the Dark Sea, the frightening 8th sea. In the lore of sailors, they report a darkness in the water encroaching upon the calm of their ships. She can be anywhere and not always so visible. She may take the form of an undertow, ignoring the fish and instead grabbing an expert swimmer by his ankles on a perfect day, or she may become low tide, ready to snatch a small child who turned her back upon the ocean for an instant. Or she may grow tired of these games and announce herself as the mighty Typhoon, brutal in her avarice and destroyer of everything, always spinning and twirling free and soaring through the South Pacific, reveling in her destruction, he exclaims before coughing on the sweet tobacco vapors. On a day like today, however, there was nothing to suggest typhoons, or hurricanes as they are known in this region, only the calming tranquility of a quiet Atlantic. It was an exciting time to be alive. The technology of shoe production meant that she could own this extra pair of mustard satin side button pick-me-ups for less money than ever before, and there was the advent of photography and its exciting industry. One day soon she might work within it as she heard other girls were. A strange and exciting time to be alive indeed. She had a thought about this tranquil ocean. How would she capture it in a photograph if money were no object and she had Talbot's wondrous camera? Alas, he created photography and got quite fat, she thought to herself sadly. Surely the mighty Talbot has done so, recorded the ocean, she thought. Sad he holds the patent. It seems I would have to be in London to enjoy such a service. Ah, but Monsieur Daguerre, now there is a man of God. He created photography so that the world could enjoy it. Still, a Talbot of the ocean would be amazing. Damn English bastard knows it too. Her yellow satin shoes were planted on the deck, but she might as well have been underwater the way the sounds of the annual ball floated away from her ringlet-wreathed ears. She gazed into his infinitely thick royal blue waters, with the party sounds seeming further and further away, almost dreamlike. The deeper she stared into his world, she could hear his unmistakable whisper. It sounded like the waves hissing onto the beach, hissing her name again. How strange. Although she stood well above the ocean below, she felt her vision sharpening as though every detail of the water surface were rushing up to meet her. She paid no mind to the sweet C minor of Chopin's Waltz, which needs no other name but simply valse, as it seduced the most fashionable dancers at her exposed back. She paid no mind as the lovely tune turned into screams of horror, screams which seemed to both grow in loudness and yet shrink in distance. It wasn't until his cold and godly waters touched her face that she had realized she had fallen overboard and whirled into his beckoning Atlantic wonderland. The pagan baptism thrilled her. If I lose air, I shall travel down faster. She knew that soon party-going men would be diving to her rescue to deprive her of her leap of faith. She let a torrent of life-ending air bubbles leave her mouth. The hungry eighth sea was near and racing towards her. Will she find me first, or will he? Soon she saw them breaking through the surface as if making grand entrances in an underwater opera, white shirts exploding into view one after another. What a lovely photograph her mind was taking of this. As she floated slowly between the worlds, unneeded rescuers above her and a chilling end below, the poor men were too late and too far. Her descent from them had begun. No one can ever tell you what it is like to drown. The very last moment when the dam of life gives way and the ocean pummels out your breath and powers of speech, not unlike the way it destroyed the ringlets in her hair, which now travel ghost-like above her face. Then there was the last thing she would feel, the final overwhelm. He took her away from there once. Would he free her of it again? The ocean moved in to flood all things within her. This is the end, whispers the sea of death. Before the dark sea touches her lips, his kiss does. He is here again, and his warming breath refills her. No coughing or shock or panic this time. She gives him the greatest gift imaginable, only her surrender. He fills her with the infinite air that only his miraculous gills can give. As she takes in his breath, she feels his world. She sees sunsets glittering prism-like through the water surface. She tastes the delicious food for which he hunts and forages, from seaweed to sea snake. She feels the wind and spray upon his hair and beard as he splashes out of the ocean on a sunny day, sunlight soothing his scarlet scales. She feels his strength, enough to battle pirates and mariners alike, and enough intensity to stare down a frenzy of sharks. And then comes the pain. His is different from most men. He is surrounded by it, swimming in it, embracing it. His is the war cry of a lonesome free man. His kiss feels like a whole other kind of drowning in something away from herself. Then he invites her at her own peril to breathe back into him. Here it comes, the ninth sea, the sea of land. He takes in the smells of the party from which she came, the paradox of loneliness she feels around lots of people. He can practically lick the rose petal bathwater off of her. His kiss speaks to her heart, saying, I am of, and so I must be as the ocean, flowing and crashing upon your shore, relentless in my storied wants. To be hurt or heartbroken is beautiful, and then let me tumble back into the deep, dark depths. All I want, find me again and again, find me there, and arouse my mighty longing to swim back to the sunlit surface, to take you where my ocean meets your soft sands. She feasts again on his life-giving breath. Here, in her kiss, tasting her tongue, he sees the moonlight as it washes the sea of land in silver. He drinks her air as though it were the burgundy he tastes in her memories. There is a more wondrous taste to experience as his gills taste her tears. The merman's hand finds a tender place above her nape, and he gently holds her close, burying his nostrils in the scent of her copper-dark hair as she in turn holds his head of thick darkness close to her. She revels in her newfound reserves of merman air. Her weeping brings the calming silk of his great scarlet tail fin, which feels impossibly warm all around her vulnerable frame. Again she is low on air, and again the sea of death swirls nearer, ready to take her once and for all. Just a few seconds more, and her life will end. Oh, but the eighth sea shrinks away as his kiss finds her lips again. The ocean is her oyster. She is at home in the hands that free her from muslin and cotton silk blends. Her heart is full beneath the breasts that press up against the vast chest of this fervent fish. With ultimate rapture, he is within her and she is all around him. Here is the 10th sea. The sea of love. It is an ocean of splendor, and just at the edge of her ear, she can hear the sweet C minor of Chopin's Waltz now, and he twirls them round and round here in the solitary waters where everything feels possible, except loneliness.